Eldon forgot he was the chair.
We can start anytime you're ready, Eldon.
All right. Right now is a good time.
Okay.
All right, calling to order this meeting of the Village of Middleville Zoning Board of Appeals. It is 6 p.m. We have the call to order, so we now have the roll call members.
Eldon Newmeyer,
Here,
Stephen Baldry,
Here.
Jason Holzhausen.
Here.
all right. We need 3 to have a quorum?
Yeah.
So we got a quorum. Okay. Approval of the agenda.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Second.
All right, any changes on that? Hearing none, we will go ahead and vote on the motion, which is to approve the minutes, the agenda of this meeting. If you're in favor of this, signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, and if you disapprove, say nay. All right. We have the minutes of January 16th. Everybody had a chance to read them. And do we miss anything, you know?
No. We didn't do very much in January.
What's that?
We didn't do very much in January.
Well, we had election of officers. Okay,
No.
all right.
Do you want this one, Steve? Or do you want me to?
And what are you laughing at over there?
Do you want to make the motion or do you want me to?
All right, I make a motion, we approve item for approval of the minutes of
I'll support that.
January 16th.
All right. Now technically would be the time to discuss any changes. Hearing none, the motion on the floor is that we approve the minutes of the January 16th meeting, 2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And all those opposed say nay. And it's approved. We have no scheduled hearings, public hearings. And the next is other matters to be reviewed by the ZBA. There are no public comments because there's no public here. Can somebody that's watching on the internet, can they make a
No.
comment? No.
No,
Okay.
we are YouTube now. We have YouTube now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have YouTube now, so no, there's no commenting.
Oh, all right.
And there's no one watching anyway, so.
Oh, okay. And we have no old business. Now we have new business, election of officers. We have a dilemma here. We've lost our secretary. Kathy Williamson declined to serve any further than March 1st. Okay? So we have an empty seat and we need to find somebody who maybe has some experience with the ordinance at least, okay? So how are we going to do the election of the secretary?
Well,
We all have,
it's Steve. I nominate Steve. You have a job. I have a job. Now Steve has a job. But Steve's job as the secretary is approving Rhonda's work. Because it's just the three of us.
You just have to sign.
we just have the
minutes.
4, don't we? Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Too bad we don't have an alternate. We could make them the alternate and then they would show up at every meeting, right?
Mhm.
Oh, well. All right. You have any problem with that, Steve?
Well, there's 3 of us out of 5 for a quorum. So if 2 vote yay and 1 votes nay, then that. I've been to class, plus I've read
Yeah.
things. No, it's fine, I'll do it.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
So we need a motion.
The nominations will now be closed. Now we,
Then I will move to elect Mr. Stephen Baldry as our secretary.
all right. I'll second that. I
Okay.
usually don't second things.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna second myself.
Oh, aren't you? Oh, okay. All right, we have a motion on the floor to elect Steve Baldry as our secretary and to look over Rhonda's shoulder. So all those in favor of this motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right. Motion passed. Thank you for doing that job. The bylaw review.
So it's been since prior to me starting to work with the Village of Middleville, since the Zoning Board of Appeals has reviewed their current bylaws. So that's one of the reasons it's just a good practice to review bylaws for any comments, questions, or concerns. As we've had some changes with the structuring, such as like recording secretary, so forth. But one of the reasons that you see this before you as well is noted is that according to the bylaws, the ZBA needs to meet 2 times a year, being the January and July timeframes that we've previously established. A lot of times with other boards that we previously have potentially canceled meetings if there was no business. Today we did have elections, but not sure what the board's thoughts are or concerns are, because I'm sure you're aware most items coming before this board require public notice. So we schedule them. It's not that often that they actually meet with the January or July meeting date, is when people are noting that their petitions are going to take 45 to potentially 90 days for consideration. A lot of times they do not care to wait.
We're required by law to meet twice a year, correct? No, we're not.
We're not.
No.
We're required by law.
Okay. I didn't know if we were required by the zoning enabling act. or
No.
not.
So the planning commission is required through the Planning Enabling Act. However, there is no set requirement for the zoning board of appeals. They can be at leisure. There's many communities that cancel their meetings quite often and meet at different
The
intervals.
reason we put two meetings a year in there is because this is a perfect example. January, we had a meeting. Those minutes were a draft up until a couple of minutes ago when we approved them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, if we were to do something and allow somebody to do something, a neighbor didn't like it and had a reason to take them to court, which I realize fortunately doesn't happen very often because it costs so much money.
Yeah.
But if they did, we wouldn't be able to put ours in because they're only a draft. They haven't been approved.
So you are right that in the minutes that it is very difficult, because most instances they have approximately 10 days after a decision to appeal that through submitting written documentation.
Would we be better off to say that if we have one meeting, then we have to have another short meeting within 30 days or 45 days to approve those minutes?
That could be something that's considered, in accordance with the bylaws too. Maybe that makes more sense than the January and July, because if we had business in February, they would have already had to have appealed and taken it through court.
So that would be, we could meet as business needs, but then if we have a meeting that has business, it's get something on the calendar to get those minutes approved, even though that's just going to be a meeting to approve minutes. But those minutes can wait until the next meeting that has business. Is that something we could do?
And if we
Well,
did
that's what
that,
we've been doing.
would we still be entertaining the January meeting for elections, or would there be consideration of elections at first meeting requiring business?
We'd have to have the January meeting,
Okay.
I would think.
Well, would we need to?
I would think start the new year.
Yeah, because it's a year. Although if we had a meeting in November or December, I don't see any reason that we have the members and we can have elections then.
The publishing requirements
Yeah.
that we have to do.
I know. So what you're saying is if we were to potentially have a public hearing because there was business and we had no scheduled meeting, as there was no additional requirement within the next 30 days, we would have to work on potentially scheduling a meeting. It would be publicly noticed, which we could figure out at that date, because the date of that meeting would be approximately the time frame. I would have a cutoff for another 30 days to potentially schedule a meeting for this board.
So
Can
if
talk it
we
over with
said
the
that
attorney.
if we change the bylaws to meeting in January and then as business needs.
Yeah.
And just cut the scheduled July meeting out.
And you wanting to have a meeting like 30 days after for approval of minutes on any,
Yeah,
Okay.
do we need to put that in the bylaws, or can that just be a practice that we do?
Well, that's what we did before. You can see it didn't work.
it would, because if the board feels confident, and I mean, that
Do the
makes sense too.
minutes have to be approved in a regular meeting? Could it be in the bylaws that to approve these minutes, that we make a motion to approve them in 30 days? And then all we had to do is each member at their own discretion, stop off at the office one day and sign them?
No,
Have to-
you gotta
yeah.
vote. You have to have a publicly noticed meeting to vote on that.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think that would be a
Yeah.
violation of Open Meetings Act.
We'd still
Well,
have,
then they'd know we were on the map.
True.
and that would still have to be an advertised meeting.
We would just have to post it at that point. We would not have to publish it in the
Yeah.
paper.
Oh,
It
okay.
used to be 18 hours. You had to have it 18 hours ahead of time.
It's 18 hours for a special meeting.
Oh.
A regular meeting that you're gonna have, it's 3 days. But why couldn't you just say at the meeting you're in, schedule the next one right then?
Yeah.
I mean, we
that's
could,
what I was
absolutely.
thinking.
I absolutely.
Yeah, you could schedule.
Yeah,
it
that
right
that
then.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so if we change the bylaws to say.
Adding it as an
we're
agenda
gonna meet-
item.
We're gonna meet in January, and then as business needs, and then if we have a business needs meeting, an item on the agenda is scheduling the minutes approval meeting. That's going to take all of 5 minutes, and how many X number of days down the road that we need to get those prepared and noticed.
And that would be another section in the bylaws that we'd have to tweak, because the ZBA bylaws specify exactly how the agenda is laid out. But yeah, we could certainly add it as an agenda item for when the next meeting
Does
is.
that, I think that, is so that we
Yeah.
can scrap the scheduled July meeting.
Absolutely. And then that way it allows everyone to look at their calendars and find a time frame that works, so we're less
Yeah.
likely to not have a quorum.
So I'm a little confused. Why, when we wait 6 months to approximately to approve minutes, why is that not okay? I mean,
So the only reason it would be an issue is if there was an appeal of a decision that the ZBA made. So for instance, if we did have any type of variance request
sure.
that this board made
Yeah.
a decision, that the attorney is going to have to file notice within approximately 10 days or business days to the community of what their concerns are, where the clerk will be responsible for providing information via FOIA. However, the minutes would not have been approved at that
Yeah, I
time.
was just thinking of our January meeting. We didn't have any business other than.
No, it was just
Yeah,
election.
so-
So there's no one going to be interested in that, especially with it being on YouTube.
So that second meeting would only happen after
what you're
a
saying.
meeting that we had business.
Okay.
And,
And
yeah,
And I don't know, Rhonda, is there still as many FOIA requests for minutes from attorneys now that, with people doing things on social media like our YouTube?
No, and I don't, if I get one for minutes, I don't even have to comply. You can just tell them they're online.
So this
Yeah,
might be
so
a
if-
mute issue.
If our minutes are, like, we have a website, our minutes are published on our website.
So if you get a FOIA request, you basically just say you can find them on our website. I am nice enough to go through and actually get all the way to the actual link, and I send them the link. I don't make them search.
PDFs here.
The other thing that we're doing now, on the advice of our attorney, is our draft minutes are posted online as well. So draft minutes, I have 8 business days to get them done. They're online. And then we have 5 business days after you approve them to put the approved ones online, and we pull the draft at that time.
So we could theoretically be
Mhm.
January then as needed,
Mhm.
unless the YouTube didn't work or something of
So
that nature.
technically, we could have an election in January with the notes,
Yeah.
with the
Mhm.
minutes, and then not have any business at all that year.
Yeah.
And then the next January with our election again, we're approving the minutes. I mean, we got to look at that too, but
Yeah, and if we didn't have any, if a meeting didn't have any petitions.
Yeah.
Then,
Because the training I just went through, they stressed that you should try to get your minutes and everything done within 2 weeks of your meeting, if
Mhm.
there's
if there's
business.
business,
we've
yeah.
got it 9.
Legally, I have 8 business days
Yeah.
to get a draft published, and I have 5 business days to publish the approved signed off minutes.
And that's because the date I told you, like the 10
Mhm.
business days, is
Yeah.
because that's when the attorneys generally come,
Yeah.
that people work on petitioning their case, and then they come request all FOIAble documentation, and then review whether or not they have a case and how they're going to proceed.
I just follow OMA.
Are we in agreement then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's.
You'll write up?
January and as needed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then if it is needed, then within
Yep.
30 days or,
Well, and we could still add it to the agenda. We
what?
could still add it to the agenda if we did, so it will be an item listed on there if we do have another meeting to schedule.
Yeah, but that's where these things fall through the cracks,
Okay.
okay?
Well,
Because
and
somebody
that's,
goes and then,
our-
oh, I forgot to do that, or,
Well, see, and our agendas are in our bylaws, and so if
Yes.
it's in our bylaws, we add that agenda item in our bylaws, it
Oh,
won't
if an
fall.
agenda
Yeah.
item,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
where
I
this,
understand.
until the board amends its bylaws again, which of course needs to be approved by the council,
Okay,
that wouldn't be an option.
all right. That should solve that problem.
Cool. So yeah, I'll work with the attorney and trying to draft that language and we can bring that back as an item
Okay.
at the January meeting and present to council.
Do you have
Okay.
to have a meeting before that in order
we had their-
to publish it correctly though?
I'll ask the attorney to
Yeah,
verify.
in case we have to have a meeting that says, yes, we've approved this change to bylaws so that we can publish only one January meeting.
I'll ask the attorney so we can figure
Okay.
out for next year's
And
calendar.
probably in it,
Yeah.
if we did have a meeting like that where somebody wanted something.
Yeah.
Would it be all right to put the, change to the bylaws after the hearing?
Oh, this could absolutely be on any day we have a public hearing, we can add regular business.
Okay, but I mean, it could be.
It's just not
have
part of the public hearing.
First.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
That's how our orders of operation are. We would schedule any public hearing and then any other business.
Yeah.
Unless it was an item such as elections that needs to be handled before
Right.
any business is taken.
Okay. That covers the bylaw.
Well, the section 5, Doug's got in
What?
his, section 5, Doug's got in his memo here, and like, right now, our bylaws say that ZBA minutes are prepared by the secretary and not the recording secretary. Do we just need to add the word recording in front of secretary in that entire section?
So my suggestion, I wanted to point light to this because I think the bylaws should be an accurate representation of how things are currently done. That as long as we have a recording secretary or there's any staff serving this board, unless the board disagrees, I think it's unreasonable to ask the secretary to prepare the minutes.
Yeah, so I think whatever we need to do to section 5 to make it read like what actually happens, because whoever's
Most our
sitting
other boards
there-
read differently. This
Yeah.
is one of the only, if not the only board that reads
Yeah,
that way.
because
currently.
whoever's sitting there
Yep.
is doing all this work, and so the bylaw should indicate that's the person doing this work.
And then that still allows for Secretary Baldry to, approve of the
Yeah.
minutes.
Oh, here's our elastic clause, 5.4. Village staff may perform some or all of the correspondence and notice duties assigned to the secretary on behalf of the secretary and the ZBA. Wouldn't that cover it?
It
It
would.
would.
I just brought this up as
Oh.
how it was
I
worded.
thought it did when I read it earlier.
What's that?
I thought it did when I read it earlier today.
The other boards in the village, though, don't have that because they have in their bylaws that.
Well, they're not us.
Yeah, this board is more likely to potentially receive FOIA requests and
Yeah.
concerns from citizens. And
So we can leave it, or we can make points 1, 2, and 3 actually read what happens in the room. Because right now it says
Well-
that Steve would be preparing our
Prepared by the
minutes, and that's just
ZBA.
never gonna happen.
Refer to,
If I was the secretary, it's just not gonna happen.
yeah.
And so if we modify those so
Yeah,
that
I
anybody
can see
reading
the
them knows
Yeah.
this is what actually happens in the room.
Yeah.
Well, it's difficult too if you have transitions in staff. If we're no longer here, then working with them on what the expectations are. If they're
Yeah.
not clearly.
If all the staff in the office changes at once, all of a sudden somebody walks into a ZBA meeting and there's no recording secretary. Yeah, that would not be great for that. So I think they should be modified so that it reads with what actually happens in the room.
And anything that's said here, or any recommendations, the attorney will go through and make sure that there's no inconsistencies.
So,
Yeah, I can see your point.
we're
Sure.
point 4 allows for what we're already
Just
doing.
gets our ducks in a row.
Yeah.
So can you see to that? too?
Yep.
All
Take
right.
care of that. Did anyone notice anything else about the bylaws? Kind of stood out? As I said, we don't evaluate them that often.
Yeah.
So I just,
Could you review the conflict of interest and tell me exactly when that happens?
so absolutely, I could certainly let you know. Generally, what I would ask is if there ever is any perceived conflict as you're getting notice about a petition or request,
Right.
contact me, and either myself or the attorney can, work with you to determine whether or not there is a conflict.
Yeah.
Because yes, we want to get that addressed before the meeting, because especially with use variances, we don't just need a majority vote, but we need 2/3. So if there are any conflicts, we want to make sure that we do have sufficient board members as to where that person isn't unnecessarily
Sure.
burdened.
I was just,
I'll let you know.
I never can tell when it's a conflict of interest.
So I think,
Um,
Mr. Baldry can probably speak a lot about this, because as a citizen planner, they really do a good job at, showing the diversity between a rural versus an urban community.
Instance. But there was a time that I was, had a conflict of interest apparently. And to make the other members comfortable, I left the building, waited for them to call me back in when it was over. So I don't remember the exact situation, but so.
But just from us, it goes to circuit court. So
Right.
it needs to be correct.
Right.
Our minutes
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
to be correct. So
They do.
So yeah, I'd
when it
rather
goes to
not,
circuit court, they're not gonna listen to anything we said. They're not gonna
They're not
listen
gonna
to
call us
anything that
witnesses.
was recorded. They'll go right by the.
so I'd rather not address it exactly in a
That's why
public
we need to work
meeting,
on our-
just because that does change over time.
Motions.
But I'm sure
we got everything.
if there ever is an issue, let me know before a
After
meeting.
being on the. after you-
We'll talk about
They trained him good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a question on the quorum 4.4.
it. Sure.
If, like tonight, we're 3 of 5.
Mhm.
And we have a petition for a variance or whatever.
Yep.
And we have 2 yays and 1 nay.
Okay.
Then it wouldn't be approved. What would it take for that to be reintroduced when we would have a full 5-person board, for example?
So,
Or is, I guess, is there a second chance
so
for the petitioner?
so it depends on, so the board, when you're not able to establish, there's gonna have to be motions until we find one that the board agrees to. That's the whole purpose for the dialogue, that it's gonna depend on what action is taken, by the board. If for whatever reason it was potentially, tabled or postponed, that's different. But yeah, if the actual petition was denied or if it was approved, this is a better example. If it was approved, that there's nothing the board can do, that's going to run in perpetuity. However, if it was denied, then a lot of time, we do have specifications in the ordinance, I believe it's 90 days that they have to wait before they could resubmit a petition. So yes, there
You've
is
been
going to
approved with
be,
conditions.
there's going to be the added cost and time frame. So there is a good amount of negative impact to the petitioner
'Cause
if we don't
did-
have a sufficient vote.
Didn't have the 3 votes yes.
Yep.
And it was denied, then it's denied, because to put it off and postpone it.
Yeah.
You're really just playing with the votes,
No,
because the
Yeah.
other 2 people would have said yes without a problem. Okay.
That's why it's
So-
important that come to a conclusion in regards to what or why it's being approved or denied. This especially with use variances, there are 5 specific findings that this board looks to address, and figuring out why it isn't able to meet those findings. If it's typically because you're viewing it as this is not an unnecessary hardship. So if the board isn't able to get in full alignment as to that being an unnecessary hardship or not, then any negative, on any of those items is a denial.
Yeah, I was just thinking, trying to give our residents a fair shake. you know,
Yeah,
type
yeah.
thing.
If there's
Yeah.
changes that could potentially be made to a plan, that could possibly be an option. But the challenge is with all of these items that come to the ZBA is they require public notice.
From my
The
experience-
planning commission has a lot more flexibility with these types of items. Site plans can go through numerous reviews and critiques, but the ZBA, it's more permanent.
If my memory serves me right, I don't ever remember this board really ever splitting the vote. If it was a 4-1 or something, but by the time we get it talked
We
out.
had a 2-3.
Huh?
We had a 2 and 3 once.
Did we?
Mhm.
Okay,
So I try to draft findings to give logic behind why the board may approve of a decision. If you disagree with any of the findings I have, I think that's where you're more likely to potentially find the disparity in the vote. Because I generally, when I'm writing recommendation, it's going to be in the affirmative, giving you reason as to why this could be approved. Because when you choose to vote against something, you do not have to describe why it is that you're making that motion. That's why it's so important the board dialogues if you're
Yeah,
not
for me,
able
I
to
would
come
do
to a
my research
consensus.
Ahead of the meeting, but,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, deliberation is key
I
in
don't
those
understand
items.
the ordinance, I would ask,
Yeah.
Right.
I hope the board deliberates if there's only 3 members and a 3-person vote is required for any action item.
They also teach us that we're supposed to visit the property.
That was
Walk
gonna be
over
my
the
next,
property.
that's my
Oh,
next thing.
okay.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
With respect to this training I
Yep.
took, they frowned upon site visits. They said, don't do it. And I said to them several times, I was the rural guy out of the big city people that were there, but I said, how in blazes could you make a decision on something without looking at it? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
And a
you know.
really good example are some of the lots that, hey, I need to put this outbuilding
Yeah.
closer because my lot drops to the river. And if you don't see that, you
Right.
can't visualize that on a topo map, walking past it,
And
you might see that and might change your opinion.
Because I said I've done that in the past, whenever I've always went and looked at what
I
was
have
going
too.
on. And they said, well, no, because you could run into someone and have a conversation. And I'm like, well.
So you have a
then
conversation.
Can we just call and make an appointment that we're gonna look, but don't talk to us? Or I mean, it's crazy for me to think that we can't go look at
Yeah.
the cage,
So- You're absolutely right. So as part of any petition, I like to take photos of every direction to make sure you're fully aware of what, where, and why the property is. Certainly, if you're concerned or if there is any possible situation where you could run into someone, contact me. I'll schedule it. We'll work it out as to where there is no
Okay.
issue. Planning commission is more likely to do those types of meetings as a group, but either way, there have been negative situations in numerous communities because, outside of a public meeting, they have to be very careful with what that
Yeah.
communication
Because
is.
if 3 of us get together and walk a property, it has to be a public notice.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the ones that I did on my own,
Yeah.
and
Did they give you any examples to defend their thoughts?
yeah, they have these Spartyville things, but
Yep.
again, you're talking with people, Muskegon and Grand
Yeah.
Haven, I'm the oddball, I'm the rural guy there,
Okay, all right.
And they said, yeah, there's been cases of, there's been too many people talking to a property owner on a variance on the setback or whatever in the city lot and got themselves into a bit of a jam that way. And I'm going, all right, that's you guys, but.
I mean, if you go up there and say, yeah, I see your case, I don't know how it's gonna come out, but I can definitely see that you got a
So
reason to be questioned.
Yeah.
some of the issues I've
Say,
seen
well,
or
you
been
said you were
aware
gonna
of.
Vote for it.
Or more like, for
Well,
example,
that's the other part of it is.
yeah.
planning commission was evaluating a gas station and
Yeah, they told the
commissioners
property,
may
yeah,
have
this should-
misspoke
this
and
should
said about
pass.
how they do not want a gas station in their backyard, things like that. Clearly, there's a perception that there's a bias, so that could potentially cause a developer to pull out before they've even petitioned for a public hearing, which can negatively affect the community. Is that maybe something the community wants? And then the opposite, it can set themselves up for a lawsuit because the commissioners at that time did not have sufficient information to make a determination on whether or not that was in the community's best interest.
But if you.
It's difficult.
At a meeting, you get 15, 20 people who oppose it in the public hearing. It's a little hard to sit here and say, sorry, but it looks to be a good thing to have there, and
I have ran those meetings.
what's that?
Oh, the meetings where you have to tell the public, we made the rules
Yeah.
and somebody's following the rules, so
Yeah.
what do you want me to do about it?
Right, exactly.
You know?
So in the future, if I'm gonna do my discovery, I'll clear it with you. Okay.
It's easy to shut the developers down because they'll get to talking and then they want to do this. Obviously, it's not with our rules. And I just tell them, this is really nice. You want to make some money, you're going to come in here, you're going to do this, make your money and leave. And then we have to live with it. And that's why we're here. Balance this out, and it's usually calms them down pretty good. But I'm sure you've had that same
Yeah,
position.
uh-huh. Yep, planning commission is lots of fun sometimes.
All right. Anything else?
No, those were my two,
That's it?
that was it.
Okay.
Other than that, I'm pretty comfortable.
All right, yeah. Training's good. All right. We have any member comments?
I'm good.
And we've been airing them out, I'm fine.
Okay, you got everything said that you need to say. All right. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
All right.
So,
No discussion
Are
on
you
that.
gonna show
And is
them
there any-
your PC for life tattoo?
Maybe I should have asked before we adjourned,
What?
but just wanted